Happy Halloween, everyone. Today will be a Halloween themed episode, episode 22, the top 10 horror movies to watch on Halloween or around Halloween, and my reviews for some 2023 Halloween horror films. So, without further ado, let's jump into some quick horror news topics really quickly. So, Smile 2 has an official release date for next October in 2024, probably around Halloween, I would say, probably like the last week of October. And also, we got Maxine is said to be a slasher whodunit. The first one was like a killer old couple. The second one was more like psychological, drama in a way. Not very. It was nothing like X. And now this one's going to be a slasher whodunit set in Hollywood in the 80s also, right? Did they say there was like a time jump also? I'm not sure. And then it was also announced that It Follows is getting a sequel called They Follow. And which that title kind of makes me think it's going to be like when you hear that title, it makes me think it's going to be like some kind of social media movie. They Follow on Twitter. But no, it's not. It's a sequel to It Follows, and it's going to be a sequel, not a prequel. And it's bringing back Micah Monroe, the lead actress from the first one. She's coming back, supposedly, and so I like that, but I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of It Follows, I'll be honest. I don't hate it, don't love it. I like it for, its uniqueness, and the score was fantastic, but that movie kind of it loses me in the third act, and just I don't know. I have some issues with it. That's why I didn't make my list in 2015, and it probably angered some people. Fuck you. Everyone seems to love this movie, but I'm just kind of like in the middle. Like, yeah, it's good, but it's not fantastic or anything. So that's all I gotta say about horror news. So let's jump into these reviews quickly. All right, Totally Killer. So this is going to be the first of 6 horror movies set around Halloween that came out this year, or at least the 6 that I've seen that I'm going to be talking about. So let's talk about Totally Killer, which is about 35 years after the shocking murders of 3 teens, an infamous killer returns on Halloween night to claim a 4th victim. When 17-year-old Jamie comes face to face with the masked maniac, she accidentally time travels back to 1987. Forced to navigate the unfamiliar culture, Jamie teams up with her teenage mother to take down a psycho once and for all. So this is the Blumhouse / Amazon Prime movie. I think this is like a Prime original. It's on Prime right now. You can check it out there. And while I liked it, I will say I have some issues, and they are: I would have liked more gore, of course, because it's a slasher, and when it comes to slashers, they should always have some gore, and this had 0. This is more in the same vein of like the Scream franchise. This has the same kind of violence in it. It's just stab, stab, stab. The killer has this gimmick where he stabs people 16 times. He's the Sweet 16 killer, but we never actually see him like stab people 16 times. He stabs them like maybe 4 or 5 times, and it seems like in each kill he stabs them less and less. Speaking of Scream, one of the people in Scream 6 is in this. So yeah, I would have liked less woke humor in this Back to the Future meets Scream slasher comedy. Like, the humor was just repetitive to me, and some of it was funny, but after a while I was just starting to roll my eyes, because it was like every 10 seconds the main character, played by the wonderful Sharon Shipka from Black Coat Star, every 10 seconds she'd say something about how, like, oh, that's so inappropriate, and 2023, you can't say that, you couldn't do that where I'm from, or when I'm from, or it's just like, we get it, you're not from this time, but shut up. Like, it was just the same thing again and again, and I was like, all right, this is getting repetitive. And so, but yeah, she was excellent. Her performance, I liked her character, even though she was a little too one note with her humor, her constant PC woke bullshit. They really hit you over the head with it, seriously. But whatever. The kills are like Scream, and that's a bad thing for me. And the mask I thought was a little silly. I don't know why they went with that mask. And the killer could take and give beatings quite well. Like, they kick his ass in a few scenes, but he's also kicking some ass himself. And that stuff was done well. Like, those fight scenes, the choreography, the stunts, I thought that stuff was really good. And the killer could I already said that. I love that I could recognize the locations and say I was there. That's probably my favorite part of watching this movie, was just seeing all these locations that I was literally just at, not even like 2 days before I watched this movie. It was a weird coincidence to get home from Vancouver and then put this movie on, and I'm like, holy shit, I was just there. And like even the school in this movie was like not even more than a mile down the street from my hotel. So it's like, oh wow, look, I drove right by that school, and that's the same school they use in The Predator from 2018. And so yeah, I was like, that was cool. And then they even have one scene in this movie towards the end where they're going through like a haunted trail, and it's at, I believe, that location, Playland, where I was just at, where they shot Final Destination 3, which is why I was there. Um, they shot one of those haunted trails in this movie. They show the characters going through one, and I swear it's the same one that I went through. I was like, holy shit, yeah, I remember those dolls, those mannequins, and that room, and then the floor shaking at the very beginning. I was like, holy shit, I was just there. The comedy was fine, but nothing hilarious. So many things felt forced and convenient. It just needed more suspense, gore, but it's never boring, at least. Well paced, kept me engaged. So 3.5 out of 5. Entertaining, just not that great. It's not a great slasher, but it's a fun, comedy that most people will enjoy. I think this movie's just to appeal to most audience. It's like this one's trying to appeal to like everyone, not just hardcore horror fans, slasher fans, gore hounds like me. This is more for like the Scream audience. This is who this is appealing to. So the next movie will be Cobweb. This is a Halloween set horror mystery from the writer, and I'll put mystery in quotes because it's pretty obvious what's going on here. From the writer of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie from last year that everyone seems to hate that I love, with a major tonal shift in the third act and contrived writing, but not anywhere near as bad as Barbarian. I don't get the love for that movie. It's so horribly written, it's laughable. The substitute teacher character coming alone to the house at the end, and the bully family, the bully and his whole family, like the whole home invasion scene, like those two parts of this movie just seem so like unbelievable and forced to me. It was so dumb. The monster displays, and yeah, monster. There's a monster in this movie. A human with unbelievable strength. So that's why the barbarian comparison earlier. So the monster displays super strength and telekinetic powers, but only uses those powers for like doors, and can defy the laws of gravity. She's like scaling the wall. She's Spider-Man in this. She's like walking upside down and shit. And she's so powerful that you wonder, like, how is it that she's been locked in the walls of this house this entire time? Like, couldn't she just break her way through the wall at any moment? Why does she have to wait like 10 years for this kid to grow up? It just seemed weird to me that she waited so long. Like she needed the kid's help for some reason. Like, dude, seeing your powers on display here, I don't get why you needed this like 8-year-old child to break you out. It makes no sense. Maybe I missed something. The Halloween atmosphere is present almost throughout. There's a couple cool shots and it looks good. I would have just preferred a twist not so ridiculous. And if you're gonna give her some cannon fodder characters and Voorhees strength, then deliver the gory goods. Kill these bullies in an awesome way, but they don't. Outside of the head being pulled off, which you don't see, what happens to the rest is entirely off camera or too dark to see. And the child actor and the parents were terrific in this, and the soundtrack I thought was awesome. And the end scene is kind of confusing. I didn't know how to interpret what was happening exactly there. So anyone want to elaborate if you've seen this movie? Like, what the fuck were they actually saying at the end? What happened exactly? I don't know why I was confused. I just remember being confused. So the next movie is Dark Harvest from the director of 30 Days of Night. And this movie, gotta look for it. Here it is. All right, so the Oh, and the last movie, 3.5 out of 5. This is a 3.5 out of 5. Also, Dark Harvest, liked it, pretty good. In a cursed town, the annual harvest becomes a brutal battle for survival. On Halloween 1963, Sawtooth Jack, a terrifying legend, rises from the cornfields, threatening the town's children. Groups of boys unite to defeat the murderous scarecrow before midnight. And it's like a game. It's like there's very dangerous games like Hunger Games and like or like The Purge, or I don't know. It's like it seems familiar. It's not very original, but it still feels fresh in a way. And I really enjoyed this one. It's from David Slade. That's the director. This is a gory new version of Pumpkinhead with an awesome creature design, a few gruesome kills, and a twist I didn't see coming. I would say this is probably the coolest monster of 2023 to come out so far. The design of Sawtooth Jack I thought was terrific. It's set during October, leading up to Halloween night, and has more jack-o'-lanterns than in front of Rhonda's house in Trick or Treat. There's a shit ton of jack-o'-lanterns. And the concept was interesting, but nothing all that original. It's essentially a cursed town that makes annual sacrifices, to keep the crops healthy. It's kind of like in Halloween 6, the thorns, like we gotta kill the family so that the crops will be good or whatever. I don't get why the kids had to be starved for days before the hunt and how that would make them like cannibals when they're unleashed. I thought that was really bizarre. Why they had to do that and why they couldn't just hand these kids guns, because this isn't a monster that like has like a specific method of being killed. Like you can only kill it with this, and it's like, no, this is a monster that can be killed as the same as any human being. Just shoot it. But for some reason they don't give the kids guns. They just hand them little shit like, all right, here's a box cutter for you, a slingshot for you, you get a pitchfork, you'll get a yardstick. It's like, how about you just give these kids some actual fucking weapons and then the night will be over quickly. But now they gotta make it interesting. They gotta, make the runtime. They gotta meet that runtime. If this was realistic, it'd be over in like 10 minutes. If this was realistic, this movie wouldn't be happening at all. There's no such thing as these monsters. Why wouldn't more kids be given guns? I already wrote that. But yeah, I just thought that was ridiculous. The acting's fine. The pacing was good. There should have been a bit more Sawtooth Jack in the second act. In the middle of the movie, I thought he was just gone for a little too long. Just an Evil Dead homage. The ending went in an unexpected direction, and I liked the post-credit sequence. We never see any mourning parents after the hunt is over, and so many children were slaughtered that night. Like they celebrate, they're like having punch and dancing, and it's like, woo, night's over, like high five, awesome. It's like, dude, like 30 kids are dead now. Like there should be parents there bawling their eyes out, but no, they're not going to show any parents crying over their dead kids. Or maybe they just didn't give a shit. That's why they made them participate in this thing in the first place. And I did like that they showed some kids like hiding, that some of them weren't actively seeking out Sawtooth Jack, that some of them had like went into a bunker and then they were like charging other kids to access the bunker. Like if you want in here, you gotta pay up front. There's like an entrance fee. And the sounds that the creature makes I thought were creepy. It's like a weird troubled breathing sound, like some kind of like wheezy sound. I don't know. It was really off-putting, and I liked it. Instead of like a traditional monster growling, like animalistic sound, they went with something a little different. And he has super strength, can rip people apart, which we see in a couple of scenes, and can light his own head on fire whenever he wants. He's like fire starter. Just, head just ignites. Cool visual. Wish he could have done that a couple more times. They set up this bully character. You got the cliche bully, jock, wears that coat with the letter on it, whatnot. And it's like you want him to die so badly, but of course he lives. I don't know why they did that. I guess subvert expectations. I liked the main couple in the movie. They flesh out their characters enough for me to like them and know them. I like that. They actually have teenage actors playing teenagers, it seems. Like I didn't look up their ages, but when I'm looking at them, they actually look their age that they're playing. Unlike most horror movies that come out today, where it's like, slashers, they're supposed to be like high schoolers, but you can tell they're like in their mid 20s. This actually seemed like young people playing young people, so I like that too. It added more like believability to this unbelievable film. And the Halloween vibes, the atmosphere of the movie was great. So, like this movie, 3.5 out of 5. What's the next one? I already talked about that one. Haunting in Venice. This is the third movie in this trilogy. The first one was Murder on the Orient Express, and the second one was Death on the Nile. And this one is about a seance gone wrong. Hercule, that's his name. Hercule Poirot, how do you say his name? He's Belgian. Now retired and living in self-imposed exile in Venice, reluctantly attends a Halloween seance at a decaying haunted palazzo. When one of the guests is murdered, the detective is thrust into a sinister world of shadows and secrets. All right, so killer, whodunit. Not much of a horror movie, but it's more horror than the other two movies in this trilogy, that's for sure. But I don't think this movie is even listed as horror on Letterboxd. But yeah, it's more of a thriller mystery. And here's my main issue with the movie. I wrote, it's a predictable whodunit with terrific performances, solid pacing and editing, and moody Halloween atmosphere. The worst thing to me that a murder mystery can be is predictable. In this one, I called it almost out of the gate. Basically the first person I was like, all right, there's my main suspect right there, and then like that was the person by the end, and I basically figured it was them the whole time. They never really made me point fingers at anyone else. I was just locked on them the whole time. Like, all right, this person makes sense, has to be them, and it's like, yep. The story was engaging, though, despite me guessing correctly who the killer was going to be before the seance took place. I'm a little confused on some plot details that are revealed later on. More than once I jumped due to like loud crashing sounds and lights bursting, so some effective jump scares here and there. And you get a ghost in the bathroom mirror scare, which is like the oldest trick in the book. It's in the trailer too. They look down, wash their face, look up, monster. It's like, can we do something else now? And so Hercule requires subtitles to understand at times. Anyone else find it hard? Like, that's not even his real accent, I don't think. I'm pretty sure this actor is like British or something, maybe American, I don't know, but I don't think he's Belgian, but his accent's pretty thick. And there were a couple of funny lines. There's a parrot in the movie that says, holy shit, and I thought that made me laugh. And I was actually hoping that the parrot would play a bigger part somehow, like would help solve the case, like in some way. I don't know, like have the parrot say something that would give it away, maybe say the name of the killer or something. That would have been funny. And the one murder was graphic for PG-13. Liked seeing the villain from John Wick 2 in this. Haven't seen him in anything else. So yeah, that's all I gotta say about this movie. From a presentation standpoint, from a atmosphere and performances standpoint, it's a good movie. Not everyone's gonna think it's predictable like me, but for me it was predictable, so that's why I couldn't rate it too high. But still good, 3.5 out of 5. I recommend checking it out, especially if you like the other two movies in this trilogy. This is basically on par with those movies. The Jester by Dread Central. A Dread Central film that just got released a couple weeks ago, and man, I was not a fan of this movie almost at all. Okay, so this is basically Art the Clown meets the Joker meets... it's just an uninteresting killer, supernatural slasher, and it's based on a horror short from a few years ago, and it's an overly dramatic, poorly acted, and almost gore-free supernatural slasher set during Halloween. Like, it feels like something like, what's that play, that like Hallmark, whatever, like, or like soap opera or something. It just feels so dramatic, and it's like these actors can't pull it off. So it just was even worse. And the look of the Jester reminds me of the Black Phone, the mask in that movie, mixed with a little bit of the Joker, like the attire. His outfit kind of looks like the Joker, and he has like he does like a mime thing, like the way he goes about. He kind of reminds me of Art the Clown in that regard. So yeah, it's basically Art the Clown and the Joker together in one character here. And the Jester scenes in this movie are the highlight. There's nothing in between that's even worth watching. Nothing creepy, nothing scary, but the Jester scenes are good enough to watch on like a YouTube montage, clip. Just watch that, and that's all you need to watch. And even that stuff's not even that great. None of it's great. Like there's a couple moments here and there. It's like that was okay, but so many missed opportunities with this one. Like there's so many opportunities for like kill scenes and gore, and they just chose to go in a different direction. Like there's a scene where a cop, he's like a magician also, this character, the Jester, and the tricks he's doing aren't even that creative. Like it hardly does anything that stands out. And like in one scene, he removes a cop's head, and it like instantly heals, and it's like a stump there. Like there's no gore, there's no blood, nothing at all. So that was just weird. It seems so goofy and cartoonish for such a like dramatic, serious slasher, and then that shit happens. You're like, what the fuck? Am I watching Freddy is Dead? Like, what is this? What am I watching? And then he's like tying people's shoelaces together, and they trip and they hit their head on the corner or something, and that's how they die. Like, really? And this one guy like starts puking up an apple, like that kid in The Witch, and that's how he dies. Like, how is puking up an apple gonna kill you? Once it's out of you, like, shouldn't you be good? Like, you should be fine by then. And why is there so much blood coming out of his mouth with the apple? Like, it just seems stupid. Like those are just characters thrown in to die, and the friends of the main girl in this movie, who's an unlikable bitch, like out of the gate. Her friends were so horribly acted and poorly written. I didn't give a fuck about them. So many weird decisions and reactions, especially from the characters, like witnessing their friend like throw up his teeth. Like his teeth are like falling out of his mouth, the eyeballs just disappear, and they're like, "Oh wow, yeah, we should probably get going." Like their reactions are so laughable. It's unintentional humor. It ends on a happy note, where the sisters are closer, but the Jester still continues to stalk them. Of course, the acting is so poor. Festival scene shows you just how low the budget is here. Characters all of a sudden will just be separated from each other. Like, oh my gosh, weird so and so. It's like so forced. Like you can't like show them get separated in a way that's believable. They're just like, all right, we need them separated. How do we do this? Let's just say they're separated and not even explain it. They're just gone. They just separated. And then the fucking Jester is like teleporting constantly throughout the movie. It's like this gimmick that they do over and over again where a character sees the Jester, they look away, they look back, he's gone. Oh, now he's over here, now he's over there. They do that like 1,000 times. Every time the Jester is on screen, they have to give him like this weird like hero shot. He walks towards the camera into focus, straightens up his tie or whatever. It's like they really just they think he's so cool or something. Like we gotta give him hero shots in every scene. And what else? What the Jester is, we never know exactly, like who or what he is by the end, but he's clearly supernatural. Like I said, he's always teleporting. I don't get the Jester's motivation, his goals, like what the fuck he's doing. It seems like he's trying to like bring these broken families together, but that's fucking weird. Like, why would he give a shit? Like, I see this broken family over here. I'm gonna try to bring them closer together. And if they don't patch up their relationship, I'm gonna kill them. Oh, that'll teach them. Like, is that what this movie's about? Because that's what I got from it. Seemed really stupid to me. The Jester even agrees with me that the main sister is a bitch. He even tells her in her own mother's voice on the phone in one scene to taunt her. So yeah, 1.5 out of 5. Really poor. Do not waste your money on this one. Natty Knocks. This is from the director of Halloween 4, starring Danielle Harris and Bill Moseley and Robert Englund. So, red flag, which is sad. Back in the day, it was cool to see those names. Nowadays, it's like, ooh, Like, I love them, but in a movie today, that means it's not going to be good because it seems like when a movie has nothing to offer, that's what they do is go, well, we got so and so, so now more people will watch the movie because it's got so and so in it. But then it just ends up being some shitty low budget film. All the budget went to that one person. Like, and this is unfortunately what feels like one of those cases where it's like this movie is just so generic and just poorly executed and not interesting. And but it's like, hey, it's got these stars in it though, so that's why you go and watch it. You're like, oh, Halloween 4 director, it's got Daniel Harris, so you go and watch it, and you're like, oh, well, this is terrible. Poorly acted supernatural revenge slasher with boring characters that relies on its cast of horror icons to draw in more viewers. Being a Halloween themed slasher with Harris, Englund, and Mosley, this should have been way more entertaining than it was, but two of the three big stars have very small roles. The kills are forgettable and there's no gore. There's an obvious reveal about Mosley's character, and the one dude does nothing but spout exposition in such a weird, contrived way. The main girl teases us with nudity more than once, never shows anything, so that's always annoying. I always say, if you're not going to show nudity, don't tease it. All right, don't. If you're not going to commit, don't fucking act like you're going to. Uh, Danielle Harris looks like this other character in the movie, and it kept confusing the shit out of me. I'm like, wait, is that Danielle Harris? Oh no, it's the like babysitter. Like, you should never hire two people for your movie that look the same, that have like the same haircut, they're the same height. So it's like at a distance, you're like, is that the same person? Like, it just kept confusing me every scene. I like would spend the majority of the scene thinking like, is that Danielle Harris? I think it is. Um, so the ending was kind of like Halloween 4, with the evil transferring to another person, another little girl. This needed more Halloween vibes. Did not feel very much like autumn to me or Halloween at all. Too much of it is set during the day, so that's probably a budget thing. Or it's all like in two separate locations that are very dull, no atmosphere. Like, this movie just lacks atmosphere for me. And we barely explore the haunted attraction that they went to. Like, there was the one scene that kind of felt like, all right, it's a Halloween movie, and then that scene barely lasts, and yeah, they go through like one room. And yeah, there's nothing creepy or suspenseful at all in this movie, so avoid it. It's an avoid. Do not watch it. 1.5 out of 5. So yeah, I think that's all of it. Yep, that's all of them. All right, so now let's talk about some movies from. No, let's talk about some Halloween movies. I don't know what I was going to say there, but all right, so drink break. All right, so my top 10 horror movies set on Halloween or around Halloween. And I'll give some honorable mentions later. But let's start with Hellfest. All right. So, reviewed most of these movies, so I'm not going to talk about them or their plots. I'm just going to breeze through this list because I don't want this video to be 50 minutes like my last few. So, Hellfest, of course, very Halloween. Of course, they're going through haunted attractions and whatnot, and that's what I love so much about this movie. It's the look of it, the feel of it, and that was basically the number one thing that I was looking for when making this list. Because there's some movies that are set in October or set on Halloween, but you almost forget in some of these movies because they don't really like beat you over the head with the fact that it's Halloween. Like City of the Living Dead, like that could have made this list because I like that movie. Honestly, I probably like it more than Hellfest, but even though it is set on Halloween, it's October through most of it. I think it's like over the course of a few days, but it's leading to All Saints Day, which is like November 1st. But it never feels like Halloween. There's no jack-o'-lanterns. There's no one mentions anything about trick-or-treaters or anything, like nothing. It's not, it doesn't feel like it. So that's why some movies did not make my list. It had to feel like the holiday to me in some way, so yeah, number 10, Hellfest. I like it way more than most people. I like it more and more the more I watch it. I was kind of lukewarm the first time when I saw it in the theaters, but I've seen it a handful of times since, and I like it a little more each time. Number 9, Ginger Snaps. Yes, this is a Halloween werewolf movie. And this is one movie I have not reviewed, so I guess I'll talk about it a little bit. You got Catherine Isabel and Miss Perkins here. I forget her first name. Emily Perkins. Is she related to Anthony Perkins by any chance? I don't think she is. I feel like I would know, but she's got his last name. I know Oz Perkins is related, but anyways, whatever. So Emily Perkins and Catherine Isabel and Chris Lemke from Final Destination 3. He's in this. So yeah, good cast of characters, actors, and the main two sisters in this movie. Great chemistry. Love them. They have a really weird sense of humor, dark sense of humor. Like they love taking pictures of themselves in death poses. Like they fake their deaths and take pictures of it, and fake suicides. And it's part of their school project or something. That's how the movie opens up. It's such a weird, crazy, dark note like that. So yeah, and the werewolf effects in this movie, I'm a little mixed on. The werewolf transformation towards the end looks really weird, but it's practical, so can't hate on it too much. I'll take a weird looking practical werewolf over some god awful CGI monstrosity. Some horrible, American Werewolf in Paris looking thing. Yeah, this movie has a little bit of Halloween atmosphere going for it, but I think it made the list mostly just because of the characters, and it's one of the better werewolf movies out there. And I feel like there should be a variety of different movies on this list, so I wanted to throw a werewolf movie in here. So there you go. This is I think the only werewolf movie that takes place on Halloween, so that's why it's on the list also. Yeah, great movie. And Night of the Demons, of course, is Halloween. Everyone knows that. Halloween party, kids at a haunted mansion, demons unleashed, kind of like Evil Dead-ish in a way. And you got the whole Halloween opening animation sequence, which is great. Trick-or-treaters at the end. The kid, the adult, the old man swallowing the razor blades. and he was putting razor blades in candy for trick-or-treaters, so he kind of got what he deserved at the end. And one thing I'm confused on in this movie, I don't know what they're saying at the end. Was she doing that on purpose? Did she kill her husband? Or was that an accident? I can't tell. From her reaction, I'm like, did she purposely put razors in his pie? Or was that an accident? I can't tell. I don't know. So yeah, Night of the Demons, number 8. Number 7, The Barn. This is a movie that seems to be love it or hate it. You either love it for its cheesy, low-budget feel and bad acting, or you hate it because it's just, a gimmicky, low-budget movie. You don't like low-budget films, or you don't like the horrible acting in this movie. But to me, I look past the bad acting in this movie and the low-budget feel because it has a lot of kills, a lot of atmosphere, a great score. The villains in this movie that you see on the poster look awesome. The practical effects, despite its low budget, are pretty good. And yeah, very gory, and it kills kids. So what's not to love? And I reviewed this movie for a patron request. And I reviewed this movie also, May. This movie leads up to Halloween, and at the end, she's walking around with a wheelbarrow of body parts, and it's a modern day Frankenstein movie in a way, right? Because she's putting pieces together, making her own Frankenstein monster. And this is a fantastic film. I fucking love it. It's one of my favorite movies of the century. This movie almost made my list in the last video I made. Terrifier 2. This one definitely feels more like Halloween than Terrifier 1, so that's why I put this one on the list over Terrifier 1. Terrifier 2 is definitely the more Halloween sequel. You actually have trick-or-treaters in one scene. They go through, that fun house and the carnival setting, the Halloween party, and it's just way more Halloween atmosphere to it than Part 1. Part 1 is just more nasty and gritty, and ugh, it's just a nasty looking movie. And so yeah, Terrifier 2, amazing movie. Reviewed it. Check out my review. Halloween 3. of course, gotta have it on the list. Love it. It's my favorite Halloween sequel, and it's got a fucking awesome premise. Three masks melting little kids' heads. Another movie that kills kids. And I got like a 30+ minute review on this movie that you can check out. I've reviewed this movie twice, as well as all the other Halloween movies. Creepshow. Not many people know this probably, but this movie, yes, it's an anthology, and not all the stories are about Halloween. But the opening, the whole wraparound, is set on Halloween night. So in it, the opening shot is a pumpkin, a jack-o'-lantern in a window. So it instantly sets the Halloween mood. So that's why it's on the list. And it's a masterpiece. It's my favorite Romero film. It's my favorite King film. It's my favorite anthology. But there's an anthology coming up that I put above it because this one actually feels like Halloween throughout. So that's why Creepshow is my favorite anthology, followed by Trick or Treat. But Trick or Treat is a better Halloween movie than Creepshow is. But Creepshow to me is still a Halloween anthology. Barely, but just enough to make my list. All right, so yeah, Trick or Treat, reviewed it. Don't want to talk about it, but I will say, because I was in Vancouver, I actually was able to visit some of the filming locations for this movie. So that scene where the bus is going down the street, that awesome, gorgeous looking shot with all those trees and the leaves falling, and they do something with like the filter, they kind of make it look orange, that whole sequence. Beautiful sequence. That street, I was there. So yeah, I went on that street, took some pictures. A couple of the houses have been torn down since, but a couple of them are still there. They actually shot this movie, pretty much all the characters' houses were all in the same street. And it's the same street that you see the bus driving down. So yeah, it's all there for the most part. And even Laurie's house from Freddy vs. Jason was shot on that same street. And I went there too. Halloween, though, of course, number one. You all knew that before you clicked on the video. Number one, Halloween, my favorite Halloween movie. Yeah, it doesn't feel the most Halloween in this series. And, Trick or Treat, if I was just ranking these movies based on, like, what feels the most like Halloween night, probably Trick or Treat. But Halloween, it's John Carpenter's immortal classic. It's amazing. So, yeah, it's my number one. I reviewed it twice. I've talked about it numerous times in other videos. So you can hear all my thoughts in those other videos. I don't need to talk about it again here. So yeah, number one, John Carpenter's Halloween. So yeah, what's your list? So I got a list pulled up here of apparently every horror movie ever that is set on Halloween or around Halloween. So 3 from Hell, I guess, is Halloween. And 31, those movies would never make my list. All Hallows Eve 1 and 2, of course. I like All Hallows Eve a little bit. Mainly just the Art the Clown stuff is the highlight of that film. All Hallows Eve 2, I was not a fan of. Amityville Horror is a Halloween movie? I don't know if that's right, but it's on this list. Babysitter Massacre, I've never seen it. Bad Reputation. The Barn, already talked about. The Blair Witch Project, is that a horror? Of course it's a horror movie. Is that a Halloween movie? I didn't know that. It would never make my list because I hate that movie, but Cemetery of Terror from '85, I've seen that movie. The Changeling, isn't that set during like winter? That was like a winter movie. I thought there was like snow on the ground. And Chud 2, the Child, the Clown Murders, and Clown House. Yeah, none of these movies would have made my list. Dark Knight is Scarecrow. A lot of people love that movie. There's something about it, I can't get into it. Deadly Friend, that's Wes Craven's movie, right? I didn't know that was a Halloween one. Devil's Rejects, that's not Halloween, is it? That's like set in like the summer or something. House of a Thousand Corpses is Halloween, but no, the Devil's Rejects, that's not Halloween. The Exorcist is Halloween in like one scene. When Tubular Bells is playing, you see trick-or-treaters. Exorcist 2, I don't remember that movie enough. Flatliners, never seen it. Ginger Snaps, 1, 2, and 3. They're all Halloween? I've seen them all. I don't remember 2 and 3 being Halloween. The Guest, that's not a horror movie. I wouldn't call that a horror movie. Haunt, a lot of people like Haunt. I prefer Hellfest to Haunt. But, yeah, that's an honorable mention. I would say Haunt would be like an honorable mention. I've never seen Hellbent. Hell House LLC, that would be like an honorable mention for me. And The House is October Built. House 2, The Second Story. I don't like that sequel. It's too kiddie, too corny, and I don't like it. And I don't remember that being Halloween, but now that I think about it, King Hodder dresses up like a gorilla in one scene, so I guess it is Halloween. I Was a Teenage Werewolf. The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane. That's a really great movie, and I don't remember it being Halloween, though. But that would be an honorable mention if it is. Murder Party. That's from that one director that a lot of people love, like The Green Room. I thought it was all right. The People Under the Stairs is a Halloween movie? I don't remember that. Pet Sematary 1 and 2. Pet Sematary a little bit. But isn't it like Thanksgiving? It's like it goes through time. It's not just all October throughout. Pet Sematary 2, I like that movie. Wrong Turn 5. That movie's fucking garbage. Speaking of garbage, Scream 6. Now that's a Halloween movie. So, and Texas Chainsaw 3D's Halloween. I remember there being like a carnival in one scene. I don't remember them ever saying it was Halloween throughout. Trick from 2019, and Trick or Treat and Trick or Treats from 86 and 82. The 86 movie, recommend it. 82 movie, no, don't watch it. And we need to talk about Kevin. I haven't seen that movie. I started it one day, and then I just gave up like 10 minutes in. And I was like, I don't think I'm in the mood for something like this. And The Silence of the Lambs, that's not, is it Halloween? Sinister from 2012, that's Halloween. Or October. Maybe these movies take place in October, but they don't reference Halloween in them. Silver Bullet. Like if Sinister, if I thought that was a Halloween movie, that would definitely make my list. And Silver Bullet, maybe, because that's a great movie. Satan's Little Helper. There's a shout out. I want to shout out Satan's Little Helper. That's a good, low budget, fun horror comedy from 2004 or 5. Yeah, check that one out. Pumpkin Carver is horrendously awful. The Predator from 2018. Yeah, I remember that one being Halloween. Apparently, every Poltergeist movie is Halloween or set in October. I did not know that. Is that The Rage 2? Or The Carrie 2, The Rage. I like that sequel more than most people. And so, yeah, I would recommend that movie also. So, yeah, that's all I gotta say. All right, so, yeah, those are honorable mentions and other movies that are set in October or around Halloween, supposedly. Some of them I couldn't tell you 100% if they were accurate or not. But, yeah, that's my list. What's your list? Let me know in the comments below if you're listening, even at this point. Yeah, what's your favorite Halloween horror movie? I'm sure it's Halloween, but if it is Halloween, let me know a different movie. What other movie besides Halloween is your favorite Halloween horror movie? And what are your thoughts on the other movies I talked about? What are your thoughts on Cobweb? What are your thoughts on Dark Harvest? What are your thoughts on Haunting in Venice? Let me know in the comments below. And I will see you in the next video, whatever and whenever that will be. I don't know what it'll be about, but yeah, I'll see you then. So, happy Halloween, everybody.